So you've learned about these tiny little superfoods called microgreens, and now you're wondering, what do microgreens taste like? By the end of this video, you will know exactly what microgreens taste like, why they have so much flavor, and where they get their flavor from. And if you stay to the end, I'll even bring you downstairs into my urban farm, where I'll do a live taste test with you, tasting over 5 different varieties of microgreens. For the best microgreens content on the internet, be sure to subscribe to my channel right here on YouTube and ring that bell. That way you get notified when I come out with new videos on Tuesdays. I've been growing microgreens commercially since 2016. I've tasted a ton of different microgreens, and I know all about microgreens at this point. I have a great understanding about why microgreens taste the way they do, and I'm going to explain that for you right now in this video. Let's do it. So in general, all microgreens kind of have this one similar aspect about them and the way they taste. They're all typically very fluffy and light, and this is because they're so young when they're harvested, which makes them very tender and delicate. They're just a very young seedling. This is also going to result in some powerful health benefits of these crops, but we'll focus on that in another video because this video is specifically about how microgreens taste. This stage of the crop cycle is not only fresh and light, but it's also very powerful when it comes to the flavors. If you haven't had microgreens before, I'm sure you would be very surprised at how much flavor is actually packed into those tiny little microgreens leaves. So because microgreens are at such a young stage of growth when they're harvested to eat, they tend to be very fresh, light, and flavorful. They have all that energy that was stored inside that seed that is now bursting open, sprouting to life. And this is why they're so flavorful, but also so delicate because they're so young. But there are actually many different flavors. Microgreens aren't just one crop. There's actually a lot of different varieties within microgreens. Each microgreens variety has a different nutrient profile as well as a different flavor profile. So in addition to them tasting very fresh, light, and flavorful, like I just mentioned before in general for all microgreens, each variety is also going to taste very similar to their adult vegetable counterparts. So for instance, if you taste a pea microgreen, it's going to taste similar to peas. If you taste a cilantro microgreen, it's going to taste like cilantro. This is because microgreens are simply the very young version of an adult vegetable, like I mentioned in this video above, where I spoke about what are microgreens. So this is how you get a vast assortment of different flavors via the different varieties of microgreens that can be grown. Now I want to mention they don't taste exactly like the adult vegetables, but they do taste very similar. For instance, like a radish microgreen is going to taste a bit spicy, but they don't quite taste exactly like a radish you would eat when it's in its root form. Chances are though, at least, if you like the adult vegetable, you will probably love the microgreen version as well. And by the way, take a second right now to comment below and let me know what flavor microgreens you like best. What is your favorite variety? Or if you haven't had microgreens before, let me know down below in the comments what variety you're most excited to try out. I would say that my favorite in the past has been broccoli, but ever since I started growing cabbage, I think cabbage is now my favorite. I love cabbage as an adult vegetable, and it's no surprise why I love cabbage microgreens. I think they have an amazing flavor. But everybody has their own different preferences, and people do tend to like some varieties more than others. All right, speaking of liking different varieties more than others, let's head downstairs right now to my urban farm, where I'll do a taste test for you, tasting about 5 or 6 different microgreens and kind of explaining to you what they taste like. All right, so we're down here in my farm. Let's get tasting. So this is broccoli right here. This was a longtime favorite crop of mine. It's now beat by the cabbage, but really nice, light. And then you get that broccoli flavor that comes in. It's very deep. It's delicious though. Like, even if you don't like broccoli, you'll probably like that. It's so good. Now we'll try a sunflower. So these are sunflower microgreens, essentially just baby sunflowers. These are a little crunchier, definitely a different flavor, kind of like a nutty, earthy flavor. I suppose they taste a little bit like sunflower seeds, like green sunflower seeds. Here's the cabbage. Yeah, those are my favorite. I love cabbage. I love just slicing up a raw cabbage and eating it, so it's no surprise that I like the cabbage microgreens. But yeah, those are so good. I love that flavor.
peas. So these ones are crunchy and juicy. They have a lot of water in them. Like the sunflower are crunchy and juicy. These ones are also crunchy and even juicier than the sunflower. And they taste very light, pretty sweet, kind of like a sweet pea or like a pea pod. Very good. What else we got here? I have two different types of radishes. I have a pink radish and a purple radish. So the purple radish, rainbow radish, you don't really taste it at first, but then all of a sudden, boom, it gets you, and it's spicy. You feel it in your mouth, you feel it in your throat, and let's taste the pink one, see if there's any difference. Oh yeah. So these ones take a second for the heat to hit as well, but they're definitely spicier. The pink ones are spicier. They are a little bit more intense on the tongue, I would say, for sure. And then these are cilantro. And again, the radish, they taste kind of radishy, but they taste more spicy than anything else. But they do taste similar to a radish, a normal radish. Then for the cilantro, these taste so powerful. Oh my gosh, just that one cilantro leaf tastes like if you put a mouthful of cilantro in. So for people who don't like cilantro in general, you're probably going to hate the microgreens. And actually, funny enough, for people who don't hate the taste of cilantro, if you take a big handful of cilantro microgreens, it's so intense and so flavorful that you actually start to taste that feeling that other people who don't like cilantro do taste. So, kind of interesting. I do love the taste of cilantro though. So that's everything. We had the peas, nice and light, juicy, sweet pea flavor. We had the cabbage, which tastes actually pretty similar to the cabbage. Very light, easy. The broccoli tastes similar to broccoli. Again, very light, very green tasting. Then the sunflowers just taste different than any other microgreen I've had. It's funny because you don't eat sunflower as a vegetable, you eat it as a seed, and then you're here tasting the green. So it's interesting. You got to try sunflower microgreens if you haven't already. So it's kind of like a nutty, crunchy, earthy flavor. Cilantro tastes like very strong cilantro. They're delicious. And then the radishes, they taste spicy, a little bit like radish, but definitely pretty spicy. And the pink radishes, the China Rose, are spicier than the rainbow radish, those purple radishes. So that's it. I hope you like this taste test. I recommend that you go out and get yourself some microgreens or grow your own microgreens and taste them for yourself, because there's only so much I can explain to you through this video.
Alright, so now you know that microgreens have such strong flavor because of how young they are when they're harvested, and that each microgreens variety does taste similar to the adult version of that vegetable. I mentioned that microgreens taste deliciously fresh and light, and we even did a taste test from my urban farm. So now you know what microgreens taste like, but what if you want to experience it for yourself? You surely can buy microgreens from a farmer's market or health food store, or you may have even experienced microgreens when eating out. These are all great ways of tasting microgreens. But if you want a foolproof way to actually grow your own microgreens at home, consider joining my microgreens challenge, where I walk you through the process day by day, ensuring that the first tray of microgreens that you're growing goes smoothly. I think everybody should be growing their own food. I think microgreens are a great way to start. And the main reason why I started this challenge was to make sure that you have a positive first experience growing these crops. That way you love doing it and want to keep on growing food into the future. So check out this challenge at onetrayaway.com. To learn what microgreens are used for and how to use them, watch this video, or watch the other video to learn the difference between sprouts and microgreens. If you like this video, be sure to hit that like button down below, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and share this video with anybody you think may like it. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Peace.